Okay, we are official now. So happy Imbolc, everyone. Thank you for joining me tonight for this first info session. I'm Fearn and I am really happy to see you and have this opportunity to share a little bit at this very special time. We have made it halfway through the winter. So we're at that tipping point, Imbolc, which is a very special time for us Druid folk and anyone who's really connecting in with that wheel of the year cycle, where we have the solstices and the equinoxes and then the cross quarters in between. So we are now halfway between winter solstice and spring equinox. And this is also known as a cross quarter day. So it's dividing those quarters in half again. So it's 8 slices of a pie. And so this is a time traditionally where we can really start to feel like, okay, we've made it halfway through and we're gonna make it through the winter, and we're starting to feel a little bit perhaps more light and life starting to rise up, not only in the land, but in ourselves. There are an extra at least 2 minutes of light every day right now. And so there's actually a quickening of how much the day length is growing at this time of year. It's not consistent throughout the year, the amount of light that comes and goes. So this is a time where you're really starting to notice that. And I've been taking walks at twilight, and I'm noticing, I can walk till almost 6 p.m. and without any flashlight right now, which is amazing. Um, so yeah, so this is a time that is sacred to an Irish goddess named Brigid, or Bridie, or Breet, or Breed, or Brigantia. She has many, many names. And she is honored especially at this time because she's associated with the beginning of spring. And of course, here in Vermont, it's not really the beginning of spring, but we can still acknowledge and be happy about more light. um, Bridget is associated with the snowdrops, those beautiful little white flowers that are the first ones to pop their little heads up above the snow in the early spring. She has many, many associations. Her main association is with fire and with the eternal flame and with the increasing of light at this time of year. She's very powerful and beloved, ancient and eternal. And she's associated not only with the longer days, but with the time of lambing and fresh milk that comes with the lambing season. For folks who live very close to the earth and are just trying to make it through the winter, that's a really exciting time, because not only is there fresh milk, but for those who eat the lamb, there's fresh meat. She's also a bringer of compassion, inspiration, and transformation. One of her many aspects is uh, blacksmith, and she works the forge and the fire. And so I would like to invite you, if you haven't already, to light your candle. And I have here a candle that is also going to light my other candle. And the reason that I have two candles is that this one carries Bridget's flame from candle to candle. And so I am now going to use this one to light a brand new beeswax votive. And so I'm a flame keeper, and that's something that those who work with Bridget can become. We have been carrying Bridget's flame for many, many years on this side of the pond, and Ivan brought it over from an Imbolc ceremony in Glastonbury many years ago, and those folks brought it over from Kildare, which is the Church of the Oaks, which is known to be her place in Ireland, where the eternal flame still burns to this day. And so I light this flame, invoking her name. And I have a simple song that I like to sing when I do that. So I'm going to share it with you. You might know this one already. There's many songs to Bridget. This one's not specifically to Bridget, but it is a song for the fire and for the flame. So I'm going to hold this up so you can see it, because I want us all to connect with our own flame, as well as this one, which has the Bridget tradition and fire that has been passed from candle to candle to candle to candle to candle, all the way back to her first fire. Rise up, O flame, by thy light glowing, show to us beauty, vision, and joy. So we welcome Bridget and her eternal flame into the candle, into the land, and into our lives. And with your own flame nearby, know that your flame is connected to my flame, as we are all connected to the eternal flame together. Yes, there it is. Beautiful. All of our fires connecting through the web. Hmm. So, a short meditation. I would like to invite you to get comfortable and relax, and you can close your eyes. You could also just go into a soft gaze and gaze at the candlelight if you prefer. We will be working with the light of the flame as well. And just take some breaths, some conscious breaths to become present in this moment. Noticing your sensations, the temperature of the air surrounding you, the sounds in the room in which you sit. Any scents in the air. I'm burning some spruce resin on my stove right now, so it smells really nice in here. Noticing sensation in your body, just becoming present. Now I want you to extend your awareness down into the land beneath you, through the floor, perhaps through multiple floors if you're up above, down into the soil, the stones, the earth below. And take a breath with the land beneath you. Feel that connection. To each of the places, the lands in which we sit, and also the feeling of connection between us through the web of life. Bringing that beautiful energy of the earth into your being as you breathe in. And then the next breath, taking the next breath with life, the circle of life around us at the surface level of the earth. The directions, east and south, west and north, orienting yourself to where you sit. The elements, earth, air, fire, and water. And all of the beings and creatures of nature in the land, and then stretching out all the way to the sea. Some of us are closer than others to the ocean, feeling that connection to the waves and the tides, the seas around us. And taking a breath, the circle of life, and filling yourself with that with the inhale. And now expanding your awareness, you might even tilt your head up a little bit to take a breath with the sky, the moon, the stars above us. Feeling your connection even at this time of night in the Northern Hemisphere. Feeling that connection to all of that light that is expanding, that comes down from the above. Our beautiful sun. And taking that energy, that light into your being with an inhale. And now just bringing your awareness to your own center and feeling yourself connected in this vertical axis with your roots down into the land beneath you, your crown open to the sky and the light, the stars above, and your heart open to life and nature all around. Now, having made this connection, I want you to very gently and slowly start to open your eyes into a soft gaze, looking at the flame of your candle. And depending on the angle, you will see, hopefully, a beautiful ray of light, at least one that comes toward you from the flame of your candle. Can you see that? It helps sometimes if you close one eye. So I'm closing my right eye and I can see this bright ray of light coming off of the flame right towards my mouth. Can everyone see that? Okay. If you can't, you can try changing the level of the candle flame. I find it's best if the flame is a little bit below the level of my head to get that visual of the ray of light that comes toward me. And what we're going to do is we're going to sip this beautiful light and fill ourselves with it. This is part of what we do at Imbolc. One of the many beautiful ways of celebrating the eternal flame and the rising of light within the land is to bring it very consciously into our own being and to infuse ourselves with the sacred fire that Bridget brings. And so how this will work is on your next inhale, as you see that beautiful light coming towards you from the flame, to sip it like you were sipping from a straw. And at the top of your inhale, close your eyes and then imagine it filling your whole being. So I usually take a little pause before I exhale and just imagine all this light starting to percolate through my being, and then exhale. And my exhale, it continues to expand that light outward through my body. So doing this a few times at your own pace. And I also want to invite you, if there's any part of your body that feels like it's a little dark or grumpy or ouchy or just maybe stuck, whatever it may be, to bring a little extra light there. And it's all just using intention, imagination. So as you sip, and you hold that at the top of the breath for just a moment, where does it want to go? And then as you exhale, send it there. Send it right into that part and imagine that light going in and filling whatever part that is with light, with her beautiful healing light. Bridget is a healer. She is a transformer and an alchemist. So taking another breath with your next inhale. And I'm going to send this one with a swallow all the way down to the bottom of my spine, to the root. And see it expanding in my sacral bowl, in my pelvic area, filling up that part of my body, allowing it to expand with the exhale. And then taking another breath. Hold it for a moment. And then exhale, and I'm going to expand this one through the center of my body, through my chest, my rib cage, my heart, my lungs. And a third breath. And this one is for our head. Allow the light, the fire in your head to ignite. Bridget also brings inspiration, the awen. So allow the inspiration to expand the light in your head. You can close your eyes again. And now I just want you to feel what it's like to be filled with light. These three, we call them cauldrons in the Irish tradition. We work with these three major energy centers in our body. So the one that's in the pelvic area, the one that's right in the chest, and the one that's in the head. Three cauldrons, three containers or bowls of energy, which we've just filled with light. And they are connected by that central axis, the axis mundi, the world tree. So check in now, check in with your axis, check in with your cauldrons, check in with your energy body. Can you feel Bridget's eternal flame within you now? She offers you a gift of light. It is up to you to decide how you want to work with that light for yourself, for your family, for the world, maybe a little bit of all of them. So allow this light to quicken inside of you. You don't need to know or make any decisions about what to do with it right now. Just allow it to percolate and quicken and sit with it. Allow it to move and shift inside your being for a little while. And as you do that, I'm going to share some words which are written by a dear friend named Mary Fowler. This is called Bridget's Shield. May Bridget's flame strengthen you. May Bridget's shield protect you. May Bridget's mantle enfold you to keep you warm. May Bridget's healing hands be above you. May Bridget's healing hands be below you. May Bridget's healing hands be before you. May Bridget's healing hands be behind you. May Bridget's healing hands be inside you. Every light and every dark, every day and every night, every early and every late. May Bridget always be with you. Blessed be. Okay, so you, as you're ready, can, if you choose, you can stay in this very meditative space. There's nothing you need to do for a little while but to listen. And so if you want to stay in a more internal space, that is all good. If you want to open your eyes and look at the screen, that's also welcome. Totally up to you. I'm going to introduce myself and I'm going to share a little story. So most of you know I'm Fearn and I am the chief of the Green Mountain Druid Order and the director of the Green Mountain Druid School and of Dreamland Sanctuary, this beautiful place that is my home and the home of the Druid School and many other wonderful ceremonies and events. And speaking of Bridget's Forge, we are definitely in an interesting place of transmutation and shape shifting here. And people have been sort of wondering what's happening, what is this, and what's it going to look like, and what's why, how, what. And so that's kind of the reason for this session, is to be able to share more than probably can easily be related just through, the written word. It's helpful sometimes to hear it from a human voice. And so I also wanted to make myself available for questions that you may still be holding at the end of this. So I'm going to share a little story. And this is a story that gives hopefully some context about what has been, and all the way up until this moment of why this shift is happening now. And so, yeah, so I'm going to start with, obviously not going all the way back, but I'm going to start with a time when I was exploring the beginnings of my paganism, the beginnings of my dedication and devotion to living very close to the earth, and exploring different ways of doing that and practicing that and learning about that. And I was a organic farmer for a bunch of years, and that was actually a gateway for me into really like deepening into a real felt sense of the seasons and the cycles, and wanting to acknowledge those old traditions of planting and harvesting, and what did my ancestors do at these times. And I started to bring those in to the farms where I was working, ceremonies and acknowledgement and gratitude for the plant world. I was also learning about herbalism and flower essences and dowsing. I came to Vermont in 1999 and immediately got excited about becoming a part of the dowsing community here, which was for a bunch of years the home of the American Society of Dowsers and the annual convention. And I apprenticed with a Scottish dowser and geomancer named Patrick McManaway. He was from Scotland, but also lived here in Vermont. And I was studying with him. And he was a friend of an English druid named Ivan Macbeth. And so many of you already know that Ivan was the founder of this school. And so Patrick introduced us, not realizing what he was doing, I don't think. But yeah, so long story short, we met back in 2003. And at some point along the way, we went through some courtship and fell in love, and then I imported him. And we pretty quickly started this druid school once he was here as a legal permanent resident alien, which is a whole lot of words to say that he wasn't a citizen, but he was legal finally. And it was not an easy process, I'll tell you. I thought that naively, innocently, thought that the marriage would help to import somebody from another country. Well, actually, we made some mistakes, and he ended up getting kicked out for a whole year. And like 2 weeks um, after we were hand fasted. And that is a story unto itself. But he did get here eventually legally, and we started our life and our school together. That same year, which is 2006, that we started the Druid School, we also became the legal stewards of Dreamland. So it was a big year for us. It was also the same year that we inaugurated the Earth Clock Stone Circle that is on the lake in Burlington. That's where we do our solstice ceremonies every year since it started. And so, yeah, 2006 was a year of major, major beginnings for us, and openings into this work together. Um, Yeah, so Ivan was the chief of the order. He was the director of the school. He was head teacher. He had come from England, where he had been very involved with OBOD, which is the Order of Bards, Ovates, and Druids, which is the largest druid order in the world. He was very involved over there and studied with them, and also like created a bunch of camps and different things happening over there. But always knew that he wanted to move to this country. So when he did, um, we partnered up, and we started this school. And I was actually in the first class. I was not yet an official druid, although I had a lot of druid leanings at that point. I went through the very first class when we started the school, while also being an administrator and like holding a lot of the practical logistics to make sure everything happened, balancing Ivan's visionary sort of ethereal senses with the practical, which was an important thing. And yeah, so we started in 2006, and we started two different programs. And we started this program that was based here at Dreamland, with these weekend immersion formats. We also started, because we had some dear friends out in Colorado that really wanted to study with us. We also, because they were requesting, decided to do a home study course. So we've had for many years these two courses, the Druid School that's based here at Dreamland, and the home study course. So Ivan passed away in 2016. Again, another big story for another time. At that point, I had already been co-teaching with him and taking more and more leadership in the school. But when he died, of course, I was left with a big question about, like, how do I do this? How do I do this without him? Thankfully, Ivan was a prolific writer, so he did get a lot of his wisdom down on the page, which is a wonderful thing. It's still very much a part of our curriculum. But still, there was so much to do and so much for me to consider about how do I do this without him. And through the grace and the support of this amazing Druid order, this community, I was upheld and supported through that very challenging, sad time. And I decided to keep going because it just has so much depth and meaning for so many people, including myself, and I didn't want to stop. And so a bunch of wonderful Druid graduates stepped in and helped, and continue to step in every year as staff members to continue to hold this space with me. It is definitely not just about me. Ivan continues to show up as an ancestor, as a mischief maker, as a curriculum writer, and an initiator. And I stepped into the chief and director that he had held. And those are things that I continue to hold to this day, with as much integrity and humility and inclusiveness as I can, because that's the kind of leader that I want to be. Um, and also with the support and love of Ivan and of Bridget. I have a tattoo on my back that I had done at the time that I stepped into that role, because I said to Ivan and to Bridget, I said, okay, I will do this if I know that you've got my back. And so they are there behind my heart, holding me so that I can do this, because it's a big job, and it's not, yeah, it's a big job energetically, and it's also something that I don't feel anybody should do alone. It really is all about connection. And I'm going to talk more about that in a little bit. So yeah, we had these two parallel programs running for many years, and they went through various iterations and adaptations over the years. We have continued to improve because we're constantly soliciting feedback from our students and staff, and we've been tweaking things all along the way. The last few years, we've had this 6 to 7 weekend format here at Dreamland for that version of the program, and the home study course with its extensive course book and some different options for study on that side. And yeah, so here's the more personal part of the story. Over the past couple of years, as I entered my own midlife passage, I found my energy, my capacity, and my needs were changing. The truth is, I was actually burning out pretty hard, and I had to come to terms with the reality that this particular program, the Dreamland program, with the many weekends during a 6 to 7 month period of semi-warm weather here in Vermont, was just not sustainable for me to pull off anymore. It just was not sustainable for me to pull off anymore. I was really, really, really tired and not really holding the energies and tasks and the space as well as I wanted to. And it was unsustainable on several levels. Financially, it was unsustainable. Other staff were having a hard time holding it too. It's just a humongous energy output, and like so much wonderful good things happened. So many amazing people and bonds were formed, and it was like an epic run of intensive immersive magic, of healing, of community, of earth connection. Lives were changed, lives were saved, um, but it was just too much, and it was also not enough all at once. And so last fall, I dove into a process of deep spelunking. I needed to pull back. I needed to pull in to rest and reflect and feel all the feelings. I had to peel away layers of identity, of my own story, of all the shoulds and the what ifs that I had inside of me about why I had to keep doing it for all the people. I am a people pleaser at heart, and I had to do a lot of letting go of that stuff. And yeah, it's been a process. I'll tell you what, rites of passage are serious business. So I sat at the well of my grief and of my fear, my own as well as the larger world, which has been going through so much. And as probably many of you, I'm an empath, so I feel things pretty strongly. I had to surrender. I had to let go of what was. I had to trust that in good time, my own wisdom and truth and vision and clarity would shine through. So yeah, I felt like I was definitely on that anvil under Bridget Smith being whacked with her hammer under the pressure and the heat of that fire, and being shaped into something different. And yeah, and so I feel that now. I feel like at the solstice at Yule, there's this beautiful uprising energy also, but it's just the beginning, right? It's the ignition point. It's that rebirth of the sun, or the Mabon in our tradition, the child of light who is born from the mother of darkness. And so at that time, I feel like there was this whole new birthing of this new vision of the Green Mountain Druid School. And bit by bit, I've been listening to spirit and to the voices of this amazing community and to the land, and finding more and more clarity. So this new shape and format is a hybrid, bringing together what I believe and hope are the best of the two worlds, in these two foundational programs. So I'm going to share a little bit more of the detail of that, and then I will open it up for some Q&A. Um, so yeah, as it used to be, we had here at Dreamland, the version of the in-person program was pretty much all in person. It was these packed weekends. Some of you can attest, I know, have been part of them. Very intensive, very immersive, packed weekends, one a month for 6 or 7 months during the season of like May till October or November. And the winter to sort of catch up on everything and sort of integrate and review the year, with practices, with readings, with things that are done at home as well, because it's all about integration, and really building this into a lifestyle. So there was that, and then there was the home study course, which was this really extensive course book with some webinars and some group mentorship if you chose that option, or just solitary self-paced study. There was a variety of options people were choosing from. So what this new form is going to look like is a little bit of both. So taking the in-person part into 2 weekends, a spring and a fall weekend. And the spring weekend will be for 2 out of 3 of those grades. It's going to be the initiation ceremony, amongst many other really important things that are really hard to teach online, things that are much more embodied, things that are very much practiced through our bodies and through our connection to nature. So we're really going to be focusing on those weekends, on those things that we want to be in person with you to teach you. And then you can go home and practice. But it's also about making those connections with your classmates. It's about making those connections with the staff. It's about making those connections with the land here, which we hope you'll continue to come back and visit often. Those of you who especially live a little closer, we're going to be, we already have actually opened up Dreamland every Sunday afternoon. You don't have to reserve. You just come if you're a student and spend time on the land here. So that's for individuals or study groups to be able to have access and just be here in the temples. We're calling it temple time. So then there's the fall weekend, which has another one or two pivotal ceremonies and other practices that are going to sort of hold and round out the year. Each year is a grade of study, and there's 3 grades, and we only ask for a commitment of 1 grade at a time. You can choose to stay at a grade for more than a year. If you want to spread it out too, that's also fine. But yeah, so we're focusing in on 1 grade per year. And then the webinars are going to be twice a month for 9 months of the year. So we're actually starting in March next month. Woo! And so I'll be teaching each of the 3 grades once per month, and then one other Druid teacher will be teaching each class once per month. And those other Druid teachers are still being finalized, but we have some amazing people on staff, and I see at least one of them here tonight. Laura's here. Hey, Laura. And let's see, is anybody else? I'm just checking to see who else is on our call. Yeah, Victoria's here too. Yes, so Victoria's another teacher, and she's been actually holding down the home study mentoring. Some of you know her from that. She's amazing. So yeah, so we have several graduate teachers who are going to be holding specific topics and classes. There she is. um, and so you'll get a variety of perspectives and voices and ways of approaching these topics, because I believe it really does. There's so many different kinds of druids, and no one druid can speak for another druid, and so the more diversity of approach and perspective within the sort of format and the basic kind of context of what we are together, I think the better. So yeah, there'll be the 2 classes per month, and there'll be some time for discussion online as well as by written forum. We're going to have a private forum group for the consistent talking about things in between those sessions for people who want to process that way. And yeah, and there was also a course book which you can download, and a bunch of audio files we've been collecting over the last couple of years. Each time we guide a journey or a meditation, we've been recording those, and we have a private YouTube channel of a whole bunch of really great guided audio journeys and meditations. And so those are another piece that will be built into the program. So those are the nuts and bolts of it. And I can also share a little bit about the first level, the path, as I'm calling it, the path of the bard, for those who are considering joining that, and some of the themes of the bardic year. I'll also share just briefly the sort of the themes of the 3 different grades, because it's nice to have a little bit of an overview of what those are. So honing it down to 1 word, and there's so much more, but I'll just start with the 1 word sort of way of holding the space of each of these grades in the way that we approach Druidry here. The bard level, the sort of power word is community, and ovate is transformation, and druid is empowerment. And so bard community, community of course is the community of humans that we start to get to know, and we sit in circles with each other, both on the land and in the web here. So that's an important piece. A lot of people are really wanting that feeling of like something more than just, picking up a book and reading it, that we feel like we're part of something, we belong to something greater than ourselves. So there's the human level of that. There is, of course, the larger nature level of that, feeling a sense of connection and community with the more than human, as we call it, the more than human. So all of the beings, both seen and unseen, because druids also work with not just that which is on the physical level of nature, but the underpinnings of life, the spirit world that is not seen by these eyes, but still can be seen and experienced in other ways. So we make relationship with guides and spirits and allies in the natural world. And so that's the community piece. The Bard year is a lot about building foundations to our sense of our connection to this path and to magic. So we learn about the elements. That's one of the big sort of themes in the Bardic year. And Victoria is going to be holding the elemental series in the Bard year for the teaching. And I'm pretty sure. I don't want to assume, but I'm pretty sure that's happening. And yeah, and so elemental connection with each of those elements is a big part of it. Also, the bard, if you have any association with the bard, think about like Shakespeare being the bard. Bards are people who have a exceptional amount of creativity and a way of expressing that into the world. And that is an important part of the archetype of the bard. And it's not about being especially skilled or really good at something. It's really about knowing that everyone has creative energy and finding your way with it. And so we opened that door by teaching a few things about poetry and about storytelling and about singing. And because we love to sing, we're together, especially, we're going to be singing together. Um, and other things, dance and music with instruments. And so something called the Awen, which is a Welsh word, which really just means the divine spirit of inspiration. And so that's a big part of the bard, tapping into that spirit of inspiration and finding your unique way to express it. What is it that, what does that muse speak to you, and what comes through you when you open to that? The bard year is also about developing a relationship with the other world, in the sense of journeys. We do regular journeys. So they're like a guided visionary meditation in order to connect to these other levels, these other realms. And as druids, we work a lot with the grove on many levels, but the inner grove being sort of like our sacred space inside. It's inside of ourselves, but it's also in the other world. It's both things at once. And in that grove that we work with and develop and explore, many amazing things can happen. And so that is a whole series unto itself of like the journeys, the work to explore those realms and to explore the beings in those realms that you will meet. Yeah. Ceremony is another piece that we learn as a foundational piece in the Bardic year, is like, how do druids open sacred space? How do they close sacred space? What does it mean to be in ceremony? And what are the different roles involved in doing that? And taking an opportunity to practice and step into those different roles and feeling what they do and what they're about and how to speak and how to hold yourself in that space. So learning about the elements of ceremony, the roles of ceremony, and the energetics and understanding of the meaning behind that. That's another big piece. And ceremony will be in person. There will also be opportunities for ceremonies that are held by the larger order, including one here in Worcester on Saturday. So we gather for those special points along the wheel of the year, usually on a weekend close to that. So that's why, trying to be accessible to folks who have Monday to Friday type jobs. So usually it's on a Saturday or a Sunday. And our little town hall here in Worcester is going to be hosting us on Saturday for an Imbolc celebration. And if you're around and able to come, please do. The Moose Clan, which Laura is a member of, are putting on. They always put on amazing events, and so it's going to be a potluck and a ceremony, and lots of other cool stuff, it sounds like. So that's happening, and those happen throughout the year. Some of them are public, some of them are just for our members, depending. But honoring those turnings of the wheel is a really important piece for us to stay connected to the cycles. And there's other things that happen in our order. We have regular bardic circles where people come together to share the awe and to share their creativity. And that's held by another member of the Moose clan. Those mooses, they really make things happen. So, yeah. So that's just a little flavor. And but the cool thing about this new format is that there's folks who, number one, just really for various reasons can't make 6 or 7 weekends a year, can't camp out in a tent that long, have maybe kids at home or live further away, or many different reasons. So coming to Dreamland twice in a year, I think, might be more accessible for folks. I am not requiring people to camp. I'm encouraging it, but I'm not requiring it. Because maybe if you're getting on a plane, you're not taking your camp gear on your plane with you. So that's something just to pay attention to. Dreamland itself, I want to just acknowledge, this place is a catalyst. It is a powerful center for transformation and magic. And so that's part of why we encourage folks to really immerse themselves and sleep here as well as be here during the day if you can. The dream time at Dreamland is something else. So yeah, so something to consider. And and ovate year is very much of a deep dive into shadow work and transformation. We work deeply with the trees in the ovate year. We do some craft work and some divination work. And it's a lot about inner work to really go, as I was mentioning earlier, spelunking and exploring an inventory of who we are, what makes us up, where we're draining out our energy, and how we might want to really let some things go, to die and be reborn. And then the Druid year is sort of that next phase of development, having sort of gone through all of that really deep work in the ovate year, starting to come back out, and having found more of your true essence, your gifts, your abilities, what you are and who you are and what you have to give back to the world. Is the Druid grade. So it's a lot about leadership and mentorship. It's about stepping into ceremonial leadership, as well as holding different roles in our community. It's also about geomancy. That's another big theme in the Druid year, which is really about becoming a conscious steward of the earth, being able to give back and to help heal wounded places and waters. So there's a bunch of work related to the dowsing and the geomancy and earth acupuncture, and some really good stuff with that. Divination, sorry, not divination, but divinity. As druids, we become, as Ivan would say, walking sacred space. Our altar becomes ourselves. We can still have an outward altar, but the idea of becoming walking sacred space means that we have it within us, and we know that is right there, and that all we have to do is close our eyes and we can access it. And we can also make that connection with that vertical axis above and below, like we did in the beginning of this session. So so we work with the gods work with us is really more how it is. So really connecting with your own innate divinity, but also connecting specifically with a particular divine being and working very intimately with that being. Druidry generally is pantheistic, meaning that people tend to have an association or a connection or a belief in more than one god. Now, that is not a dogma, it's not required. We have had all types show up in our divine ceremonies here from many different parts of the world and pantheons. So, just thinking to make sure I haven't missed any important topics here. I think that should give you a decent flavor. I want to give an opportunity for, and no requirement here, but we do actually have 3 folks on this call who are potentially going to be on staff this year. And I wanted to just see if any of you would like to introduce yourselves and share anything about your experience with this community or Druid school that might be, just a voice other than my own for folks to hear about. So you can unmute yourself if you're interested.
Hello, everyone. I'm Laura. I'm of the Moose Clan. I'm a graduate of the program. And hello, Swiftwater, who's also a moose. Yeah, I mean, this program really has changed my life. One of the things that really attracted me to it was, I had sort of a real longing to find my own, I guess, pagan roots, really, without appropriating, and really wanting to connect into my own ancestry. And a good friend of mine, whose name is Mary Kay Casper, was involved in the program and was the one who introduced me to it. And it really aligned with my own sense of who I was inside and at heart. And I loved all the pieces of it. So when Fearn was kind of going through the bardic grade, the ovate grade, and the druid grade, I was remembering so many different moments that had to do with, I mean, I could just name a few, being creative and sharing creative works in a public way, which was something that was terrifying for me, but something that I really long to do and feel seen and connected in that way. So one of my bardic art was poetry, and so I loved that. Little things like just I did an inventory of the trees on my land here in Montpelier, and just like really learning and studying and sitting with nature in a way that I hadn't really done before. And I was somebody who grew up in Vermont on a farm and spent a lot of time in nature. And the bardic here, the bardic here was so much about the magical child. And we talk about community and just like being in circle and learning to be in circle and holding that space and sharing that space with others. And the ovate grade really resonated for me, because for me it was a lot about that sort of deeper work of really looking at myself, looking at what the things were that maybe blocked me from my desires, the things that I really knew in my heart that I wanted, and having to, work through some deeper stuff, maybe some feelings, but also just like connecting to those forces that are somewhat maybe unconscious, and learning to navigate in that way. And entering into the Druid year and learning about being of service and leadership and the divinity ceremony, which was just amazing. But there's so many, like, we had, the death ceremony, and I guess I probably shouldn't say all the things that leave them as a surprise, but the program is just so rich, and there's some amazing people and some interesting characters, and really a lot of fun too. So I'm super excited to be teaching. I'm excited to be working with, I think I may be getting to work with the ovates a little bit this year. I'm kind of excited about that. I've been working as a apprentice teacher with the Druids, and yeah. And I just say one more thing before I pass, which is the other thing that really attracted me to the program, that I really wanted to learn more about and bring more into my life, was ritual and ceremony in a very intentional way. And this program offers a lot of opportunities to explore that and really settle into oneself around what it means to engage with ritual, what it means to hold ceremony and to hold the space and to follow a tradition, not a dogma, but like a tradition that I found comfort in. So I could say so much more, but I will say that I have spoken for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura.
I guess I'll go next. Thank you, Laura. My name is Joe Levisser. I am of the Heartfire clan. I am a graduate of the program. The program was
You're muted, Joe.
We
of course
lost
I
your
did.
voice, Joe.
There we
There
go.
you go.
Hey. So where did you leave me?
You said that I'm a graduate
Right
of
at the
this
beginning.
program, and then that was
Okay.
what I
Got
heard.
Got it. So I did the program with my wife Victoria, who you'll hear from probably next. The program was definitely life-changing for me. And the thing that I found the most interesting about the program, before I even started in the school, I asked a few people that had been through the program what it provided for them, because I have a background in workshop design and things like that, so I kind of understand how programs work or how they're put together. And the interesting thing is that I got very different answers from different people, and I asked more than a few folks, and I think it's a testament to not only how powerful the program is, but also how deep of a program it is, and how the work is very shamanistic and has a lot of journey work embedded in it. And because of that, it is able to provide different things and different experiences for different people, depending on who they are and what they need from the program. And that was something that definitely came for me as well in its own way. But it's something that I found that was really magical and really that set the program apart from a lot of other traditional, very clear laid out programs. Um, so I'm happy to be here and teaching a little bit with the Druids this year. And I look forward to getting to know you all, hopefully in the future, and be a part of this journey. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Joe.
Hello, humans. I am Victoria. I am of Heartfire clan. That was my husband, Joe. I'm very sleepy, so we'll see how my brain does right now. This training changed my life. I'm gonna get teary. Wow. This training helped me to heal my inner child. It got me in touch with a sense of play that I was sorely missing. There's a quote that says something like, listen in a way that others want to speak, and speak in a way that others want to listen. And I got to learn that on both sides in my Bardic year. And in my Ovate year, I got to face my fear of death. I got to look at the things in my life that were holding me back. And I got to learn how to take really good care of myself in a way that I never had before. And in my Druid year, I had this habit my whole life of wanting to leave my body and go back to where I was before I was born. And in my Druid year, I got to reverse that. And I got to bring the things that I know from where I was born here. Goosebumps, powerful, life-changing. If it wasn't for all that stuff, I wouldn't have felt ready to have my son. And he is amazing. Yeah, so that's some of the stuff that this training means to me. I will be working with the bards in the Elemental series. And yeah, I look forward to seeing more of your faces and getting to know people on this journey. Owen. I'm gonna mute now,
Thank you, Victoria.
if I can figure out how.
Beautiful.
I hope I wasn't muted
Yeah.
that whole time, was it? No, I wasn't. Okay.
Oh, no, no, you were good. We heard you. All right. So I'm gonna sort of officially complete this part with a little sending off of our flames, and then I'm gonna turn off the recording, and then we can just have some informal Q&A if anybody has questions. So if your candle is still burning, yeah, you can just take a moment to reconnect with the flame, both in the candle and all of that beautiful light that you sipped into your body. Maybe just take a breath and feel it again. And to affirm it going into those places, those dark, grungy places that need it most in your body and in your mind, wherever it needs to go. Thanking Bridget for bringing her light into the places that need it most. And as we get ready to blow out these candles, to consider a place, a being, a nation, a species that you want to send her flame, her fire, her light to tonight, anywhere in the world. So just take a moment to consider what that might be for you. And on the count of 3, let's all blow out our candles. And when we blow them, to blow that fire into that place that we're thinking about. Okay, you ready? 1, 2, 3. Blessed be. May it be so. Okay, I'm going to stop the recording.